While we're still trying to wrap our minds around the massive pullback in the crypto prices and the accompanying collapse of the crypto exchange FTX, Peter Schiff has predicted more doom, stating that we're about to have a crypto extinction. Remember, Peter Schiff predicted the 2008 financial crash, and now he sees the total destruction of digital currencies very soon. He warns people not to buy the Bitcoin dip and clearly states that Sam Bankman-Fried's FTX was a crypto Ponzi scheme, and anyone still holding Bitcoin at this point is just a bag holder. Gloomy, right? But while we may be tempted to dismiss this man, it's good to point out that he predicted the 2008 financial crash. Also, 6 months ago, he once again sounded his trumpet of doom for cryptocurrency, especially for Bitcoin and Ether. Were his predictions right? Yes, and we'll share that with you soon. But before we go on, quickly like this video and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. Let's continue. 6 months ago, when the price of Bitcoin was about $40,000 and Ethereum was about $3,000, Peter Schiff predicted an economic collapse and asserted that Bitcoin will fall below $20,000 and Ethereum will fall to $1,000. And like the Nostradamus of the financial market, 6 months after his prediction, we have it just as he predicted. Bitcoin is at the $16,000 mark, and Ethereum is just some hundreds of dollars away from the $1,000 prediction. Peter David Schiff is an American stockbroker, financial commentator, and radio personality. He's the CEO and Chief Global Strategist of Euro-Pacific Capital Inc. He's also the host of the Peter Schiff Show podcast, where he talks about the economy, money, recession, inflation, and investment strategies. He's an outspoken evangelist of investing in gold. So do you think Peter Schiff is someone worth listening to? Let's find out from his recent podcast, where he talks about the recession, the FTX implosion, and his prediction on the eventual crash of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. We'll check out what he advises as cautionary steps that people should take. He begins by stating that there's enough economic data that confirms that the economy is in recession. He calls this a stealth recession because no one wants to acknowledge that it's there. He explains that the positive GDP growth in the third quarter may be misleading, as many people are seeing that as a sign that there's no recession and that the economy is doing just fine. While there was a positive third quarter, Peter sends a reminder that the first 2 quarters of the year were actually negative quarters, and even as at that time, economists and financial analysts were still denying that the economy was not yet in any recession. He further goes to explain that while the positive GDP in the third quarter may make the lie even more plausible that we're not in a recession, he points out that the reason for this positive GDP was as a result of the export of oil from a strategic oil reserve. He cautions that the oil in the reserve continues to deplete, and soon there won't be oil anymore in there, and when this happens, the price of gas will soar to crazy levels. Schiff goes on to analyze how the manufacturing index from Kansas City goes on to show that there's a drop in the level of production, which is an indicator for rising inflation. This is because inflation occurs when prices of goods shoot up because there's plenty of money chasing very few goods. In another interview with Euro-Pacific, he confirms that we're not approaching double-digit inflation. He affirms that we're already there.
I think we're already there. Prices going up are just a result of inflation. But the government really wanted to change the definition of inflation from an expansion of the money supply to an increase in prices so they can confuse the public as to the source of inflation. Because if the public realizes that inflation is expanding money supply, well, they know exactly who's controlling the money supply.
This shows just how much Peter understands the economy and how he's able to read the economic data to make meaningful predictions that may elude many. In his podcast, he states that the government uses a contrived number to deflate the GDP and how that number understates the actual increase in consumer prices. He goes on to say that the government is projecting very wrong economic indices.
I think the main reason that retail sales are up is because prices are up. So again, this is not people buying more, this is just people paying more. And in fact, in many cases, they're actually buying less. They're just paying so much more that retail sales are up in dollars, but they're down in volume.
He goes further to clarify.
So that is exaggerating the economic growth, because if you can make believe that inflation is lower, then you simultaneously get to pretend that GDP growth is higher. And that's another reason that the government has to lie about inflation, because not only do they fool the public into thinking that inflation isn't as bad as it is, but at the same time, they get a twofer, because that also means they get to lie to the public about how strong the economy is, because they get to show a stronger GDP number than what they would show if they had an honest inflation number.
Commenting on the collapsed crypto exchange FTX and former CEO Sam Bankman-Fried SBF, Schiff wrote, "I never looked into SBF as I never even considered investing in FTX, but had I done 10 minutes of due diligence, the red flags would have been obvious." In his podcast, he further goes to speak about the FTX Ponzi scheme and the decline of Bitcoin. First of all, while we've already stated how Sam Bankman-Fried's operation was dubious and unprofessional, Schiff doesn't waste time reiterating that the organization was run by kids who were actually stealing from their customers and taking the money through Alameda research and speculation in crypto and losing. His concern was how everybody believed in crypto con man, thereby providing the shield that enabled the embezzlement. He refers to the FTX fiasco as an embezzlement. According to him, they clearly don't have the permission to touch customers' funds, and they also go further to lie to their customers, telling them that they're not doing that. Meanwhile, that was exactly what they were doing. Peter Schiff explains that the whole issue with FTX was that they dug themselves into a hole by trying to play smart with the funds deposited by their customers, and clearly that was what seemed to have played out, because the more FTX tried to come out of the mess, the deeper they got in, and when it seemed like they couldn't do anything about the situation, they filed for bankruptcy, and as a consequence, he announces that a crypto extinction is looming. While many are referring to this as merely a crypto winter, Peter insists in a tweet that this is beyond a crypto winter. This isn't a hashtag crypto winter. That implies spring is coming. This is also not a crypto ice age, as even that came to an end after a couple of million years, he writes in a tweet. This is crypto extinction. While this is a dire warning, it's clearly not the first time that Schiff is sounding an alarm. Speaking about Bitcoin, he further goes to warn that people shouldn't buy the dip. He says that Bitcoin still has a long way to fall and values at $10,000 presently. He's warned in a series of tweets that Bitcoin will keep falling as the recession continues. Previously, he predicted that people will sell off their Bitcoins in a bid to pay bills, and this will eventually get worse as the recession deepens. He also pointed out that the recession will cause long-term Bitcoin holders without paychecks to be forced to sell as well, and clearly that is what's happening right now. In a follow-up tweet, he said that, "I've been warning for years that all the people who made money in crypto will be sued by all the people who lost money in crypto, so lawyer up, pumpers." Schiff also shared his thoughts on the recent performance of Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust, or GBTC, and how it influences the price of Bitcoin. He states that $10,000 is the actual price of Bitcoin. He tweets, "Based on GBTC's 43% discount to NAV, Bitcoin is already trading well below $10,000. I think this is the real price of Bitcoin, as when you sell GBTC, you get paid real cash, but when you sell BTC, you get paid Tether. To get actual cash for Bitcoin, you must accept a huge discount." He goes further to say that GBTC is trading at 46% discount below, and that's a new record. He says that Bitcoin is in real trouble and doesn't fail to caution again that people should get out while they can. So is it time to listen to Schiff and get out, or wait to see how the economy and market proves him wrong? We'd definitely love to hear your thoughts on this in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed the video, then don't forget to share it with your friends and family. They might need to be aware of the warning as well. Until next time,